Welcome to Billion Dollar Marketing Secrets Over Coffee with Biz Coach Steve Feld. Biz Coach Steve interviews fellow successful business owners about the strategies they have used to grow their businesses, and in turn, you can use them to help you navigate your business towards success. Ready to learn strategies to grow your business with less stress and build a long-term sustainable business to exceed your personal and business financial goals to build the business of your dreams? Well, you have come to the right place. Please welcome Biz Coach Steve Feld.
Hello, folks. Biz Coach Steve Feld here, welcoming you to another episode of Biz Coach and Coffee. Today, we have Emily Guy Birken. Now, she is a best-selling personal finance author and financial coach based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So let me ask, I always have to ask, how did you get into doing what you're doing now?
I like to tell people that I tripped and fell backwards into it because I'm actually an English teacher by training. I taught high school English for 4 years, but I'm also really not great at timing because we were expecting our first child at the same time that my husband got a new job in another state, and our baby was due at the beginning of the next school year.
Oh,
So I was like, well, I'm not teaching this year. And so the original plan was I was going to take a year off with the baby. But I figured I'd try to find some freelance writing gigs during that time. And one of my first freelancing gigs was for a financial website. My dad was a financial planner, and I've always been a bit of a money nerd. And it just kind of took off from there. So that year off with the baby is now 13 years. The baby
oh,
is going
wow.
to turn 14 in August.
Time flies. It's amazing.
It really does.
Now, you've seen some ups and downs with talking to people about their finances. I mean, nothing stays the same. That's the only constant. So, what's one thing you tell people at different life stages? I mean, most of the people listening to this are entrepreneurs, business owners. So some of them are struggling to make ends meet. Some of them are doing really well. What would you tell someone on both ends of the spectrum?
I think something that we have trouble remembering is that whether you're riding a high or you're really struggling, there's always something you can do that your tomorrow self will be glad you did. So it's a little easier when you're riding a high because, if money's coming in, everything's going well. That's a little bit more natural to say like, okay, I'm going to set some aside to make sure that I, will be able to pay my quarterly taxes, set some aside for retirement, whatever for future business expenses, whatever those things are. But on the other side of it, when things are not going so well, that's a good time to get into good habits. So, and the habit is more important than the amount. So, for instance, if you're struggling with your business, you can still probably afford to send even $10 a month towards retirement. And so, people think like, well, $10, what difference is that going to make? Part of it is the fact that compound interest is like the eighth wonder of the world. But it's also if you are in the habit of every month, an amount of money goes into my solo 401k or my IRA, even if that amount of money is only $10, that is something that you can build upon so that when things are getting better, you can increase that amount because it's already set up. It's already an automatic thing that you're doing. And so remembering those habits and trying to build those and remember and think about those, whether you're riding a high or a low, is something that you're going to be glad for later on.
Oh, great. And let me ask, what do you hear from your clients? What is like the one thing or top in the top 10? How's that?
Um,
Pick one.
so the most common thing that I hear is that my clients tend to be people who are paying pretty close attention to their money and are on top of things with retirement, but they feel like they're not high net worth enough to make it worthwhile to consult with a financial planner. Um, and they also struggle because a lot of places start with like, here's how you budget. And they're like, we've got that. So there are a lot of people who are kind of in between that ultra high net worth group who is like, you know what, it's fine, take a percentage of assets, whatever. And then the people who are really struggling and have never figured out how to money. And so that's something that I would love to see our industry do better with, is making that kind of middle of the road, helping people who are pretty on top of things, but they need to know what the laws are, what the taxes are going to be, what they can expect in terms of their withdrawal strategy and retirement and all of that, because those are things that people don't feel confident about because they haven't been practicing it for 30 years. But it often seems like the barrier to entry to get that advice is a little too high.
Exactly. I mean, I've a lot of entrepreneurs, when I say, do you have a financial planner? Because they might be thinking about retiring, selling their business. And I go, you're going to have one ugly tax bill, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And since you're the sole proprietor, you own your LLC, it's going to get really ugly. So where's your financial planner in all this? And they just give me that look. So what would you tell like those business owners? It's like, what's the first step they need to take to find a financial planner?
Yeah, that can be pretty tough, and it can feel overwhelming, in part because the financial industry has done such a good job of convincing us that we have to have a financial planner. And so like a lot of times you'll meet with one and they'll be talking up here, jargon. Right. So I think there are a couple of things when looking for a financial planner. First is ask people you know. In the same way that when you move someplace, finding a new dentist and a new doctor can be tough, and it's easier if you ask like your new coworkers, like, who's your dentist? Do you like them? That sort of thing, because that can give you a clearer view than anything a Google search can give you, of what to expect from a financial planner. The second thing is to look at it as like an interview process in trying to find a financial planner, because for so many people, the idea of going into a financial planning office is so intimidating that once you're there, you're like, okay, yes, I'll sign anything just so I don't have to do this again.
Right.
And I want people to think of it more as like, you don't have to impress them, they have to impress you. So in the same way that you are not going to hire the first person off the street who offers to babysit your kids without doing some background checking, without a thorough interview, without finding out their references, you're not going to want to do that with your money either. So make sure that you go and ask big questions. Don't be afraid to look silly. Because that's another thing. People go in and they're like, oh, I'm afraid I'm not going to know what they're talking about and I'm going to feel overwhelmed. It's like, well, it's their job to explain to you. So remember that. And there are no stupid questions. And if they make you feel like less than, then you get up and walk away, lose their business card, because that is not appropriate at all. So I think that what we need to work on so much is like letting go of the money stigma that causes people to sign up with financial planners who aren't a good fit.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I've seen some great business owners, they've had a financial planner in their, I want to say, sphere of influence, their group, along with a good lawyer, a good CPA, and they had a tax strategy. They have their set. So when it came time to sell their business, it's like they were dialed in, and it's like it was a team effort. And they always said that. And they go, no, I don't know what my CPA knows or my tax planner, financial planner knows, but we all get to sit down together and we're all on the same page.
Absolutely. It's the way I like to describe it is, your financial planner may be holding the map, but you're the one driving. Right. And so and they may be aware of areas of the map that you don't know, but you're also picking the direction. So always remember that, like, they're sitting shotgun, this is not a ride that you are in the back seat and going like, whatever you think is best.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I got a financial planner, I don't know how many years and years ago, but I interviewed quite a few and I got references, but I still did the interview process. And I meet with them. I used to be at the beginning, like 3-4 times a year, because we're trying to figure everything out. Now it's like an annual review. and then they take what I say and send it everything to the CPA. So the CPA, we're all on the same page, and it's like we're in alignment. So if they see, like the CPA says, "Hey, no, what about this?" They can talk and they give me the result. So it's like, okay, great, they're on my team. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. As I have a friend who talks about, like, you need to think of yourself as like a company. You're the CEO of Steve. And so, CEO doesn't do everything by himself. You
Right.
need to bring in a team, and the experts, but you're the ultimate decision maker for anything.
What would you also tell an entrepreneur too? Like, what are some good books to get them started? Because I know entrepreneurs like to listen to podcasts, they like to listen to books, they want to be a little bit more educated before they take that step into that door. Because I know there's some, like what you were saying, they just walk in blind and gobbledygook starts happening and they accept it.
Yeah. So there are a couple of options. I hope it's okay if I plug some of my own books. My first book, The 5 Years Before You Retire, one of the things that I include in there is a chapter on how to find a financial planner, and I include 8 questions to ask when you walk into a financial planner's office, and kind of guidelines of what you should expect in terms of those answers. So that's, I think, a really solid place to start. I also would like to mention I wrote a humorous guide to money with my friend Joe Saul-Sehy. The book's called Stacked: Your Super Serious Guide to Modern Money Management. Joe is the podcaster behind Stacking Benjamins podcast. And so his goal on his podcast and with the book is to kind of make money more lighthearted, because we take it so seriously. And so I think that's also a very good way of kind of like an intro into finance that is not intimidating, because it is, funny and lighthearted, and we're making lots of dad jokes and things like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think is a really helpful read that I absolutely love is Your Money or Your Life, by Joe Dominguez and Vicki Robin. Because now the investing advice in it, and I haven't read the most recent update, but the investing advice in it is a product of its time. It was written in like late 80s, early 90s originally. But the mindset advice about money, I think, is like second to none. There is just so much great ways of looking at money in this book that can allow you to kind of turn a corner in how you look at your relationship with your money. And I think that can be really helpful in kind of centering that relationship where you feel like, yes, I'm in charge, I'm the CEO, and I'm not going to let someone intimidate me.
You brought up an excellent point. I think that it transfers for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. It's the mindset, shifting that
Absolutely.
mindset. And is that something you work with your clients too? It's like, because they might have that negative perception about money, that money's evil, or oh, making money will take away from someone else, and they don't realize money is abundant, it's flowing, it's always being fed into a system. It's going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we all carry these money scripts in our heads, things we believe about money that are not necessarily true. And so, getting a hold of that mindset, figuring out, well, what is it that I believe about money? And is that entirely true? Or is that something that I've just been telling myself? Is so helpful. And it's something that can really affect your relationship, not only with money, but with other people. Marriages end because of money problems often. That's one of the leading causes of arguments in relationships. And a lot of times it's not that, one person's wrong, the other person's right, or anything like that. It's that you're both coming at it with a different mindset about money,
Right.
and they're like banging into each other. And so that can also be tough for entrepreneurs as well. If you co-own something with a partner, if you have different money scripts, one person's like, yeah, we have to spend this on advertising. The other person's like, no, we can't. And you're just coming at it from very different perspectives. So getting a handle on what it is you believe about money as so that you can like articulate it and talk about it is going to make a huge difference.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. It reminds me, I was in one company I was turning around. I was the CFO and the COO. So one side of me is trying to spend money and the other side is trying to save money. And I was at conflict all the time. So I had to bring in my controller to solve my own personal dilemma. Our guests usually give away a gift, something to help our listeners and make a better life, a better business. Do you have something that you can offer them?
Yeah, so I have a retirement preparation worksheet that people can go to my website for, and you said the URL will be in the um, in the show notes. So this worksheet is going to help you with everything from like daily, weekly, monthly, yearly budgets. For just groceries, all the things that you pay for, but it also will help with consumables, the sorts of things that you'll have to replace through retirement. So you don't necessarily think to budget for like, oh, okay, well, cars only last, I don't know, 12, 15 years. I'm going to be retired for 30. I'm probably going to need another car at some point. Where's that money going to come from? Or things like replacing the roof on your house, or any other of those kinds of consumable goods. So it has breakdowns of what you can expect for each of those, and it allows you to kind of calculate how much you'd need to set aside on an annual basis to make sure that you'll be covered for those costs.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic worksheet. Folks, please take advantage of Emily's offer and go ahead and download that. We will have all the information in the show notes, so take a look there. We're almost out of time, but what is like one parting thought you would tell people regarding finances and money and savings and the future? I know it's a big wad there.
Oh, yeah. So I think one of the things I want people to remember is that while money problems are inevitable, everyone at some point or another is going to have a money problem. Money stress is usually optional. And that's because we are often putting stress on ourselves that is not necessary. So we will like get ourselves worked up about something financially when the reality is that you can go without something, or the money will be there. So I want people to for that same idea with money mindset is to think about, if you're feeling stressed about money, is it truly a money problem? Is it something that you are causing yourself stress? Or is it something that, with a little ingenuity, elbow grease, or creativity, you might be able to solve? And, once you like ask yourself that question, it's very liberating because it can allow you to be like, oh, yeah, there's a way to solve this, rather than like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get the money? And so that's something I think not enough people are taught to do. And I would really like to see more of us doing and kind of releasing some of that unnecessary stress.
Oh, that's great points. Absolutely. Because so many people get stressed over the money situation. And like I said, number one reason why marriages fail is money. So definitely, folks, take a look at the worksheet. If you need help on financial guidance planning, give Emily a call. I mean, I'm sure she can help you out or provide you some great resources of what you need. Emily, I just want to say thank you very much for being our guest today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
And folks, if you like Emily and the other guests, please make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast. All of Emily's information will be in the show notes, so take advantage of that. We're always creating some new programs for our great entrepreneurs and business owners, so please keep an eye on our social media platforms for all that great news, and make sure you subscribe to our newsletters. Stay current with everything. This is Biz Coach Steve Feld, wishing you and your business much success.
We hope you liked today's guest on $1 Billion Marketing Secrets Over Coffee. If you'd like to see how much hidden revenue we can uncover for you, well, click on the link in the show notes to speak with Steve. Mention the podcast when you book the meeting. You will receive a special gift. Make sure to like this episode and subscribe to this podcast to hear other great proven business leaders share their strategies to help you grow your business.